Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. Today we're gonna speak about Kherson because you can see awesome news, our forces already in the city. 11th of November 2022, we regained the control over the biggest city that Russia was able to take from Ukraine since the beginning of this war. Still, you can see there are some gray areas. It means that there could be some of the small Russian groups, but actually I was expected that Russian forces would be just trapped over here because all of the supply lines were cut, but they were managed to withdraw most of their forces. Last night our artillery tried to reach Russians and we caused them devastations, but not as dramatic as it could be. So mainly I think they secured their forces withdrawing from the North Kherson territory. However, those forces are very demilitarized. The retreatment of the 20,000 soldiers was planned just in 3 days, and obviously they left the heavy armored vehicles on this part of the territory, and some of the Russians are masking now. They've thrown away their military uniform, and my friends, it will take us many weeks to find out all of the Russians who left there. Yes, my friends, it's the huge gain for Ukraine, and I expected that we'll have Kherson under our control during the winter time. It's late autumn and we took it, so I'm very happy. So Mykolaiv, a city, will get less shells because the front line moves further away, and the part of the Mykolaiv Oblast over here is still under Russian control. We call it Kimburskaya Kosa, this part, and obviously we're gonna free it from the Russian occupiers. This part of the land is mostly inhabited, and this is the sand pit, the biggest one in Ukraine. All this territory is the desert, Oleskivsky Desert we call it. So here's the satellite image, Kherson city, the desert I told you about, and also there are some sands over here, quite deserted place, and just some of the villages. The area here is very flat, it's hard to find even some high trees, and for Russians it could be quite hard task to build the defense lines, but they're building them. So this is the Kherson city, and if you look to the south over there, you see that they're just wasteland. Our military already told that we have the capability of taking all of the roads leading from Crimea to the south part of Ukraine under the fire control. It means that our rocket artillery systems as HIMARS are able to reach those two roads near to Armansk, one, and the other one is over here. So I guess the Ukrainian strategy would be again to cut supplies coming from Crimea for all of this part, all of this region, and maybe start the counterattack from this place to Melitopol and cut entire area. The operation to free Kherson was well planned, and I told you before, even during the summertime, that it's the best thing to cut supplies for Russia and then enter this place with our counterattack. My friends, it wasn't the present for Ukraine or Ukrainian army, and then Russia decided to withdraw from this area. They simply didn't have the other choice because during the winter time for them it would be impossible to provide supplies for the group, and also we pushed them hard with our counterattacks. All these green areas you can see there were gained during this small but rapid and aggressive Ukrainian counterattack, so we caused them severe losses and we launched our artillery towards the place. And now let's see the timeline for the 3 days of the retreatment of Russia and the Ukrainian attack there. So 1 day ago, and it is today, my friends. Yeah, now with the latest update, it's completely blue. And this video was recorded by our soldiers who entered the Kherson today. You can see lots of people are greeting them with the Ukrainian flags. It's just awesome, my friends. So people were waiting for our soldiers. There are not many of the people because many of those flee to Ukrainian territory, and also Russia actually deported people, locals from Kherson, but someone just stayed there. People who desperately waited for Ukrainian army. They believed in us, and it's really touching to see those kind of videos, and we expect these pictures coming from every occupied Ukrainian city. soon everything will be Ukraine. And this video was presented by the Russian resource. It was filmed on CCTV camera in Kherson city itself, and it's just a huge explosion that was during this night in Antonovka Bridge. So it wasn't HIMARS for sure if you compare with the previous videos that are available on my channel. So you might have seen that HIMARS explosions are tiny little compared to that one. So Russia for sure mined Antonovka Bridge and just destroyed that one. Several sections are missing, and now for Ukrainian army it's kind of hard to cross the Dnieper River. And this picture was taken just before our army entered the city, so Russians fled the territory. Locals put all of the flags on the main square and waited for our soldiers to arrive. Well, I think in general the outcome is good for Ukraine because there were no any kind of urban fights. Most of the buildings are okay in Kherson, and our soldiers didn't lose their lives. Can Russia attack Kherson from their new positions? Yes, they can, but as I showed you before, there are just on open fields, so there could be good targets for the HIMARS rocket artillery systems. And this is Antonovka Bridge. You can see a section is missing. Actually, there are two sections that went down, and ferry bridge that Russia used also was destroyed. And those are the Russian soldiers who are walking on the ferry bridge on their own, so it's impossible to put their vehicles, heavy vehicles, on that improvised DIY bridge. So that's why they took what they could carry and walk across the Dnieper River. The first shopping truck entered Kherson, obviously with humanitarian help for the locals, and you see how they meet that track over there is just a party for locals, my friends. It's awesome, and our warriors also filming some of the videos in Kherson. This is just a grocery store. They have network all around Ukraine and they sell food to people. So good to see life continue in Kherson. Last night I was very concerned about the Kakhovka Dam. We got the reports that it was destroyed by Russians, but actually Russians blown up some of the road part of it, and it means that again it could be difficult for Ukrainian army to go across the Dnieper River. So Ukraine targeted this part across the Dnieper, which is very safe for the dam, but Russians blown up this part, which might cause the devastation circumstances for the construction of the dam itself. Ukraine continued to build the wall between Ukrainian and Belarusian border. I think it will be built not on all distance because there are some swamps, forests, and the areas where Belarusians would not dare to go because it's simply impossible to go through the places. But on a weak spot, so we're gonna build the fence. It will not stop tanks, obviously, but still it is the resistance, one more resistance on the way to reach Ukraine. And Russia sent more reinforcements to Belarus, so maybe during the winter time we may expect one more campaign, one more try for them to reach Kiev or Sumy or some kind of the other city on the north. They desperately want Ukraine to negotiate the peace talks with Russia. That's why they may push hard during this winter time. More good news today, it was the exchange of our warriors. So 45 soldiers went back on Ukrainian territory to their loved ones. Awesome. One more video of Antonovka Bridge. Yes, one section is missing, just one, and the ferry bridge is there, but some ferries are missing there as well. So yeah, Russians blown up everything there. This is the HIMARS, this HIMARS for sure. Russians even left the helicopter Mi-8 in Chernobyevka airfield. It is damaged, you can see the blade is damaged here. It is missing some of the components, but nevertheless it's the helicopter. It could be restored by Ukrainians and may fly for Ukrainian army. And this is what the Russian peace brings to civilians. So some kind of the apartment where Russians used to live, or they just rob the place, but still there's some TVs and fan. I think they stayed there for a while. President Putin lost the battle for Kiev, he lost the battle for Kharkiv, and now it's Kherson. Ben Hodges, the ex-commander of the NATO forces in Europe, says that Putin will lose Crimea next. And after it, he loses the upcoming internal battle for Kremlin. Ben Hodges said that it's gonna be till the end of the next year. So eagerly waiting for it. Yes, my friends, we have a positive day today in general, good morale boost for our soldiers. However, as I told you, Russians mostly were able to flee the Kherson area with no major disaster for the Russian army, and they may put those soldiers to some kind of the other parts of the front lines, for example, push Donetsk or Bakhmut more, or maybe, as I told you, during the winter campaign, they may try to enter the Kiev once again, but they still in lack of resources. So Kiev is unreachable task for the Russian army. Also, we have the information from non-official resources so far that Iran stopped temporarily the supplyment of their drones and rockets to the Russian side. Without Iranian ballistic missiles or drones, Russia would not be able to destroy our infrastructure. But here today we have a blackout still. Russia already did lots of the harm to our power plants and power lines. My friends, and I want to thank you for supporting Ukraine. Without your help, this victory would not be possible. Without our Western allies who support weaponry to Ukraine, and you play the great role because you influence the public opinion and your government follows the public opinion to be elected on the next term or whatever, and they have to follow your goals, your own goals. So what you personally do and what you personally think matters. My friends, I'm gonna keep you updated on situation here in Ukraine. Now, if you want to support the channel, just press the like button. If you want to support me financially, there are so many ways how you can do it. You may support me on Patreon, PayPal or Donatella, whichever is more convenient for you. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are. Have a great time.